probably a better term for that. I just don't know what it is.
Hey everyone, Rob here at Dixie Restoration. The next tech video from our series is how to install a dash cover on your original dashboard. These are a good, budget-friendly solution to replacing the dash, and if done correctly, they can look great for a long time and save you a ton of money. As far as tools go, not many needed for this other than a plastic pry tool and a good sharp razor blade. The pry tool is for the vent panel or the vent trim here, and the razor blade is to cut down any of the raised areas caused by the cracks in the dash, as you want the cover to lay as flat as possible. First thing to do is cut out all the areas that are raised from the cracks in the vinyl. A sharp razor blade will do this quickly. Some of the areas do not need to be cut away, as you can use your fingers to push them down, and that will be more than enough to flatten them out. Let's fast forward this. Prep work is tedious and quite boring to watch, we understand, but this is one of those instances where the extra time spent here will be well worth it in the long run. Now that our cracks are flattened, it's time to focus on the cleaning portion. We recommend an alcohol-based cleaner that doesn't leave a residue. We use SEM brand plastic prep because we have it by the case, but you can use a variety of cleaners on this. Also, a red Scotch-Brite pad will help get into the vinyl and clean out any old Armor All type products that will keep the adhesive or the paint from bonding to it. The cleaner this is, the better everything will stick. At this point, the areas that you've scuffed will have a grayish tone that you can obviously see here, and the areas that you haven't will still have a bit of a shine on them, as noted under the radio plate area. Just want to include that we edited out 12 whole minutes of scuffing right here. It's boring, nobody wants to watch it, but just so everybody knows, there's a lot of scuffing involved in this.
All right, for this part, get yourself a good quality shop towel. We still have our prep spray. You just want to give the dash one more once over. Just to get all that. This stuff usually dries pretty quickly. You'll still notice a few wet spots. Give it a good 5 to 10 minutes, let everything dry really well. Then go back and just make sure you didn't miss any spots. Here's our old dashboard with a dash cover just sitting on it for now. And you can see, even with it just sitting on it, there are definitely parts of the dash that it doesn't cover. And here, the underneath, inside your cluster area, same with the glove box area. Some people are okay with those being a different color, because most of the time nobody ever sees it. If you are not, that's fine. I'm not. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to prep and paint those areas. All right, this step really only comes into play if you are changing the color of your interior. If you've got maroon interior, you're putting on a maroon dash cover, really doesn't matter as much. In this case, I'm putting a black dash cover onto a blue dash. So we've already prepped it. We've cleaned the dash really well. And now we're just going to paint the areas that the dash cover doesn't cover. And here, my radio plate area, glove box area, and down here where the lower column panel goes. We use PPG based interior dyes. Everything's got a flex additive in it. Our part number is DM00182 for anybody that cares. It's about $21.95 a can. We also use SEM adhesion promoter. I've already gone through and sprayed a few areas. Just give it a good shake, and you just want to give the areas that you're spraying a good light coating. Every adhesion promoter is a little bit different, so always read the directions on the back. While that's drying, I'm going to go work on the other side of the dash. We're going to do our glove box area and on the top where our defrost vents are. At this point, you're going to prep the underneath of the dash cover itself. Same thing, red Scotch-Brite pad and a good quality prep spray. Give everything a good scuff. Make sure it's very clean so that you have good quality adhesion from the cover to the dashboard. Next, we're going to cover how to dry fit the dash. I usually will start from one side and work my way across. If you have two people, it may save you a little bit of time here. Just go down, push it as tightly as you can get it, and make sure there's no areas that need to be trimmed. Any excess from the molds, anything like that. Make sure these lines tend to line up. That'll make the whole process go a little bit quicker. Around the radio plate, make sure that fits down and tight. Check this angle here. The passenger side, this angle always tends to be a little bit off. On this dashboard here, it's not too bad, but I may go in and trim this off just so it fits a little bit better. Your glove box door may hit right here.
This is where we focus on the radio plate area. Guys with 86 to 88 cars, you may have to trim the outside of the dash cover. Your radio plate wraps around the dashboard where the 78 to 85 is recessed into it. You can either use an X-Acto knife or a Dremel tool. You can make a line with a pencil. That way it's easily cleaned off. Remove the dash cover and then go back and trim, and then test fit it again. After you're satisfied with the way the radio plate fits, then you can check your vent openings. Make sure there's no excess plastic that is going to have the vent extensions be too tight or fit funny. After everything was installed, I cracked my outer vent because I should have trimmed it a little bit. It looked like it would be close, and it was too close to call.
Dry fit your dash cover. You're happy with how flat everything lays. The next part you need to worry about is how to attach the cover to the dashboard. There's two main methods to do this: the painter's tape method and spring clamps. I've used both of these with pretty good results. There are other ways to do it. I'm not saying there's really a wrong way. I've seen bungee cords, ratchet straps. As long as you can get them to stick together, that's really all that matters. As far as using the painter's tape, you want to get your cover sat as flat and flush as possible, then go over all of your seams here once it's glued down. Again, the tighter it fits, the better everything will look at the end. As far as spring clamps, if you have a bunch of those, you want to run your bead of silicone. The paint sticks tend to help spread the load out, and then just clamp the two together. And after it's glued down, let it sit a good solid 4 to 6 hours before messing with it. If it's a little colder, I'd give it a longer time. Out here in the shop, it's about 65, 70 degrees, so it should dry pretty quickly. All right, we're ready to attach the cover to the dashboard. We've got a stack of spring clamps, some mixing sticks, and our painter's tape is on standby. Before you get to this step, get a bowl of hot water. Let your silicone sit in it for about 10 minutes. Tends to make everything go a bit easier. I like to start with the top and then work my way down. If you have a caulking gun, go down to your local home improvement store, get a tube of this. Makes things go so much faster. Always give yourself a little room. Remember that the silicone, if you run it too close to here, it will squish out. There's probably a better term for that. I just don't know what it is. I mentioned this earlier. Wear gloves or keep hand wipes handy, just in case that tube breaks. Where you need to work pretty quickly. Work from one side to the other. Again, if you have another person to help you with this, it makes things go a bit easier, but it's not necessary. Anywhere you can't fit a spring clamp, just come in and run your hand along it. Try to get everything to stick together really well. Double check your sides. Before you let everything cure, make sure everything is nice and tight and it doesn't need to be readjusted. Right, so we've let this thing sit all weekend at this point. I added a couple more clamps off camera in some problem areas, and we're gonna go take all those off. At this point, inspect your gaps. There's a small one around here I'm not a huge fan of, and the dash cover does move around a little bit. And I've got another small one in this area where my glove box is gonna go. Before I bolt the dash back in the car, I'm gonna install a lower column panel, install a glove box, make sure I'm happy with the gaps. If I'm not, I can always go back, add a little more silicone, clamp it back down and let it dry for some more time. But overall, this is a much nicer looking product than we had before. There's a little bit of silicone that's squeezed out that we've got to clean up in some areas. Nothing a small razor blade won't fix.
The dash covers used in this video, be sure to check out our website, DixieRestorationDepot.com. We have them in all the factory styles and all the factory colors.